neighbor's home was torn to pieces. You can see insulation scattered throughout this area, as well as the front wall just ripped off of this home. It might not look like much right now, but this entire lot is going to be transformed in about 3 years into the Summersville Academic Complex. But if you're wondering, are you able to make a snowman or have a snowball fight with this snow? Well, let me show you. Let me grab a little bit. It's very fluffy. I'm currently standing on one of the back roads that was affected 2 weeks ago and is now again covered in floodwaters. You can see the length of multiple football fields. Just moments ago, Winfield attorney Dave Moy confirmed his client, Corporal Joseph Comer, wrote this letter that alleges the wrongdoing within the West Virginia State Police among the most high-ranking officials. The average wait time for Putnam County EMS at CMC General Hospital last year was about 32 minutes, and about 20% of transports took longer than an hour. With temperatures in the high 80s just looking to increase this week. You can just imagine how hot it is out here, especially with wearing all of this gear. It's truly an unimaginable loss for the assistant chief here at Kermit, Jeff Kirk, as well as his 2 young kids. And when I spoke with him today, he tells me his wife, Chandra Kirk, would want them to speak up about what happened, also about emergency services, saying they need to do better in the county. Now, Chandra Kirk was 41 years old. She was a wife as well as a mother. Jeff was her high school sweetheart, and now they have a 15-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Last Monday, Jeff lost the woman who's been by his side for over 3 decades. And that's because he says in their worst moment, the life-saving care they needed wasn't there. Family friends say Chandra was having heartburn and it had gotten worse throughout the day. So her mother called 911 and dispatchers told them an ambulance wasn't available to send to them. Now they decided to drive themselves to the hospital, but on the ride there, Chandra had a heart attack, and her friends say her daughter had to give her CPR until they met up with the ambulance in Kentucky.
It's been going on and getting worse for years. This is not something that's just now happening. Me and Jeff and Hawkey and the rest of our firemen have talked about it for a long time, about the ambulance service is going to have to do something. They're going to have to pick it up or we're going to lose somebody. And I didn't think it would be so close to home, but now it's happened.
I reached out to Stat EMS, Mingo County Emergency Management, and the Mingo County Commission for a comment on the incident. However, I have not heard back from any of them yet. Now, Williamson tells me they do plan to speak tomorrow at the Mingo County Commission meeting, and that starts at 4 p.m. And they plan to speak because he says they hope to address this ambulance issue so that this doesn't happen to another family. Live in Mingo County, I'm Rachel Pellegrino for 13 News.
Sadness, happiness, relief.
That's how Ricky Lafferty, the father of Alex Carter, felt after finding out what he's been waiting 24 years to hear. His daughter had been found.
You know, you're happy they found her, but you're sad of the circumstances of her not being alive.
Alex and her mother, Susan Carter, went missing in August 2000.
I mean, she was an exceptional kid, a loving kid. I made up some flyers, posters, missing child posters. I was putting them everywhere.
Even when weeks turned into months and eventually years, Lafferty says he never gave up on finding her.
Every car that goes by or went by or ever, I would look at the ditch lines, you know, I would look, search everything. Everybody I talked to, I would mention it and bring it up. Have you heard anything?
Everything changed in 2020 when the FBI started to look at the case again. The FBI says about a year and a half ago, a bullet with Alex's blood on it was found inside the home of Larry Webb, who the two lived with at the time. That same year, Webb was charged with Alex's murder. He was arrested in early April after the FBI says he confessed to shooting Susan over a financial dispute and then killing her daughter.
He detailed for us exactly how he murdered both women, how he wrapped their bodies in bed linens, how they spent 2 days on the basement floor of his home while he dug a shallow grave in his backyard.
Their suspected remains were found on his property Monday afternoon, bringing closure to the family who spent years searching for answers.
Just never give it up, never. Because someone's going to listen. Eventually, someone will listen. They have to.
And now that Lafferty is finally able to bring his little girl home, he says he's going to give her a proper goodbye, and he plans to set up a scholarship fund in her memory. Live in South Charleston, I'm Rachel Pellegrino for Tonight Live.
I did.
Zila Elementary students are sharing a laugh with their principal, James Marsh, after a bear sent him running Monday morning.
At the time, I was thinking I just need to give him some space and get out of his way really fast, as you can tell in the video.
Of course, the whole encounter was caught on security footage. It shows Marsh unlocking this dumpster, and then all of a sudden, a bear pops out of it. What you can't hear in this video is the bear growling at him just right before he starts to run away, and that's followed by the bear also taking off in the opposite direction. Marsh says this wasn't the first time they've seen the bear lurking around, but he was still surprised.
I was truly not expecting that, and especially at 7:15 in the morning. If you are not already awake, let me assure you that will wake you up.
In the corner of the video, you can also see the school's custodian, who immediately closed the door behind her after she saw it.
I teased my custodian. She feels bad because in the video she locks me out quickly, but I tease with her and I say, well, you were sacrificing me, but you were saving the children.
And after it happened, Marsh showed his students the video, and as you can imagine, their reaction was...
I laughed so hard, I couldn't breathe afterwards.
We just laughed.
Two girls, they told me, they said, Mr. Marsh, when you see a bear, you should back away slowly. You should not run. They pointed out that I had made a mistake and I should not have run.
From now on, Marsh says he's going to be extra cautious around dumpsters.
I remind him, I say, every time you go outside, you be careful around those dumpsters. You may not know what's coming out of there.
Reporting in Nicholas County, I'm Rachel Pellegrino.
Well, Amanda, over the last few weeks, I've spoken with a handful of families who didn't want to go on camera, but all of them tell me not having access to life-saving services is unacceptable. And really, the problem goes far beyond affecting these families. Dispatchers also tell me they're feeling just as helpless in these emergency situations.
She said, we don't have any squads available. And I said, what do you mean there are no squads? This is 911. What do you mean there are no squads available?
Yeah, I mean, you're calling because you need immediate care and you're expecting that care.
Yeah, and there was none. No, there was nothing for us that day.
While many people expect immediate care when they call 911, that's not always the case in Wayne County. Sometimes dispatchers have to tell callers there's no ambulance available. I spoke with a handful of Wayne County residents like the one you just heard from, all sharing similar stories that go back years. In December of last year, a woman's son started choking and couldn't breathe. Dispatchers tried to get them an ambulance, but one wasn't available. Back in 2022 on Thanksgiving Day, a local nurse's mother had a heart attack. Just like the previous family, she says in their worst moment, the life-saving care her family needed wasn't there.
And I was kind of stunned. I was like, what do you mean there are no ambulances available? And she's like, there are none available to come to you.
She says they took matters into their own hands, driving the distance from Pritchard to Canova.
I kept my eyes focused on her the whole time because I thought if something happens, I'm literally going to have to just do CPR on the side of the road.
Eventually, they met up with a Cabell County ambulance that stepped in to take her mother to the hospital. Over the last few years, it's become common for Cabell County Emergency Services to provide mutual aid for surrounding counties like Wayne. However, how much is too much? Over the course of a 2-month period in 2023, Cabell received 180 mutual aid calls, 84 of which they responded to, and 96 they didn't assist with. A handful of those were from Mason, Lincoln, and Putnam counties, but the majority were Wayne County.
My first responsibility are the citizens of Cabell County. It's the right thing to do mutual aid. That's something that you just have to do, and we try very hard to do them. But there's times where we have to say no, we don't have an ambulance.
To give you some perspective, Cabell takes about 3,700 calls per month. While the amount of mutual aid doesn't seem like much on a large scale, and Mary says they're willing to help, it's become a safety issue more than anything.
But you know, when we tell people, call 911, you need help, you call 911, we'll send help. Well, how would you like to be calling 911 and the dispatcher says, we don't have an ambulance available?
What do? Yeah.
Yeah, you throw them in the car and start heading to the hospital. which that shouldn't happen in 2024.
While the nurse's mother survived that day, she passed away weeks later, leaving her family wondering what would have happened if one of them didn't have a medical background.
And it was very scary. It really was, and it's unacceptable. I mean, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to call 911 and have somebody respond.
These situations are also stressful for those dispatchers on the other side of the phone.
Unfortunately, nobody calls 911 because they're having a good day. So they call in middle of crisis, and it's very helpless feeling to tell families, oh, I'm sorry, your dad's having a heart attack, I have nobody to send.
While the Wayne County Commission addressed the no ambulance issue at a meeting in February,
the crisis that we're in today is a result of many problems that carried on for a long period of time. Attempts have been made to correct the problems.
And various EMS bills have been proposed by lawmakers. Families aren't convinced something will be done.
I mean, they can say that they recognize that it's a problem, but really what are they doing to fix it?
And for those who've lived in Wayne County for years, they aren't going anywhere, but they want the issue fixed sooner than later, because in an emergency, every minute counts.
You know, I'm not moving. It's not an option, but I would like to know that there's resources and there are ambulances available if we need them.
The Wayne County Commission says they hope to decide on a plan of action in the next few weeks, and their next meeting is scheduled for later today at 10 a.m. In the studio, I'm Rachel Pellegrino for 13 News.